A $100,000 a month business is a fundamentally completely different business than that same business doing $10,000 or $20,000 a month. And a $100,000 a month business that gets to a $500,000 a month or $1 million a month is a fundamentally entirely different business than the business it was when it was doing $100,000 a month. And I want to talk about this, and I want you to see how helpful understanding this can be to creating scale in your business, because what a lot of people do is they'll come to me. They will apply for the Kaizen Mastermind, which is my one-on-one support where I help people scale their business. And, in that group, just this month, we've gotten 2 new people over $100,000 a month. We have one person who's coming up on a $500,000 a month. It's a great group. And I'll have people come to me and they say, hey, I'm doing 10 or 20 grand a month. I want to scale this. And I'll look at the business and I'm like, this is not going to grow. And then they have to unwire and relearn a bunch of stuff to get there. And so in this video, I want to talk about and tell you what you have to let go of if you're going to grow. Okay? And effectively, you just got to learn to let go of control. That's the core thing. It's really a character trait issue or a personality type issue that needs to be worked on. But deeper than that, it's actually how your business functions. And so as I get into this, mind the jacket. It is horribly cold in my house. This is not just me trying to look cool, even though this jacket, I think it looks great. It's just so cold. So I wanted to make that note. And then also shout out to my wife who gave me a great haircut. Okay. What do you have to let go of? The first thing is delivery. Delivery has to change. I mean, it's going to be completely different. You have to go from being able to handle 1 or 2 new clients a week to being able to handle 2 to 3 new clients a day. I hosted a delivery series. We did a week-by-week 3-part series with the Kaizen Mastermind group on delivery. Okay, and if you'd like me to send it to you, PM me the word delivery on Instagram. I'll send it over for free, and we'll chat about it. And by the way, it's actually me over there. So this is a small enough business. I don't have a setter, I don't have a closer. Just me helping people as I scale up my other company, which is now pacing well over. It just had its first 6-figure month, which is great. Should be at $250,000 a month relatively soon as we scale up new talent and start to be able to go from there. But anyway, in that series, I talked about there's 3 different layers of delivery. The first layer is the resources that they get that are non-human capital intensive. This is usually information, SOPs, things that they can go and learn from and adapt and absorb and allow it to affect their day-to-day operations and what it is that they actually do. This is course material, group call recordings, etc. It's just information, okay? And not just information, but good information and persuasive information that gets them to take action independent of your time, okay? And could probably stand alone independent of your time, get them the result that they're here to achieve without your support, okay? And that's really what a good product is capable of doing. And a lot of people, honestly, haven't even really seen a good product, okay? Like most people, they don't even know what a good product looks like. They've bought a bunch of crap products themselves probably, or haven't really seen like a really, really well-built info product that really takes somebody from point A to point B like a conveyor belt, okay? That's the first thing. You got to build that thing out. I mean, that can take months to really nail it, okay? My first business that I got to $350,000, that was its peak month, $350,000 a month. It took me almost a year to really build out a product that could handle that many individuals rolling through it, okay? And so you got to give up that function in your business. The way that you deliver now has to change. That's the first rung, though, the information rung. You can imagine like a pyramid, okay? You got blocks here. That's the information. The next is interactables, things that they can use to track their progress, spreadsheets that they can use, applications, whether it's a custom coded application or something that you use and have all your clients log into so you can see their progress, for example. If you're a business coach, you can use a publicly accessed QuickBooks of some sort so you can actually see how their business is doing. You get access to their Facebook ad account if you're a marketing coach, things that you can actually see what it is that they're doing so that they can actually interact with your support at a higher degree so you can have more impact and more of a sense of pushing and moving what it is that they're doing. A great example would be having an artificial intelligence tool that could maybe deduce what their next constraint is if you're some sort of a business coach or a fitness coach, or maybe if you're a relationship coach, you can have some sort of a daily chart that your husband and spouse fill out together or something as they begin to adapt to the change that you're helping them have in their relationship. Okay, and then the final rung, after those two things are built, you've got the course product itself, you've got the interactables. The final rung is human capital. That's the last line of defense of driving the outcome. But the problem is most people lead with that. They build businesses around human time and then wonder why they're having a hard time scaling. They're wondering why their margins shrink so significantly when they reach revenue levels like $100, $200, $500,000 a month. And it's because now they've dug themselves a pit. Now they've got all these hires, and maybe you're here. You got all these hires, all these coaches, all this support, and it's like, wow, we're doing $500,000 a month, and the margins are like 20%. Usually it's because you have way too much support on the front lines because you didn't build a good baseline framework of your information product and good interactables that solve 70, 80, 90% of the problems so that when human capital is involved, it's extremely potent and extremely effective for the amount of time that they're providing. Okay, so that's the first thing. Your delivery is going to have to fundamentally change. The next thing on our list of things you have to let go of in order to really scale is the amount of money you have in the bank. Right now, a lot of people, what they do is they hate seeing their bank go backwards, which I get. Like, you don't want it to go backwards for forever, but they're just such control freaks, okay? They don't have an abundance mentality. They really don't like seeing their bank shrink by 20 or 50% as they figure out the next version of things. I can speak for myself that my physical business bank account has gone through 2 or 3 resets. Okay, and each time it arrives at a new level, but while I'm going through a reset, I don't see any of that money as mine. It is purely for the business, for the sake of the business to grow into what it could potentially be. And I don't see myself as the kind of person who struggles. I don't. Like, I've been through real struggle where I genuinely don't even know how I'm going to pay rent. And even then, I never lost any sense of hope that I know that I could figure this out. Because the truth is that the money that you have right now is not your money. It is the business's money, and it's your job to turn that into more money through the business. And so if you start to identify and start to attach your emotional state almost to how much you have in the bank, that's going to keep you stuck for forever. I mean, it really, if you right now have this like comfort number, you got to get rid of that. And I'm telling you, when you get rid of the idea of a comfort number, your business bank account just flies up because you no longer make decisions based on what feels safe. And the truth is, business is not something where if you're just trying to be safe all the time, you can arrive at success. Obviously, you have to take risks. You have to try things. You have to invest into things. And you have to like put your money to work, right? And a lot of people, I have actual clients right now who I know they're sitting on about $1 million cash. These are Kaizen Mastermind clients. I've seen their books. They're sitting on $1 million liquid cash flush. And they still are worried about what's going to happen. They're constantly reacting to what it is that's going on in their business instead of proactively creating something to try and protect the million. I'm going to get a little Christianese on you, but it's the parable of the talents in Scripture. Jesus talking about a parable of a man who gives his servants levels of wealth. A talent, whatever you say. It was a year's wage. He gave one person 1 year's wage, another person 3, another person 5, another person 10. And I think it's 1, 3, 5, and 10. One goes out and buries it and doesn't do anything with the money, okay? Just protects it. The others, the 3, the 5, and the 10, they go out and they double it. They multiply it. Jesus comes back and says, or the master in this parable comes back and says, well done, good and faithful servant, to every single person who multiplied the resources. The one person who buried it, he banishes from the kingdom. So you have to get rid of this idea of protecting what you have. If you really want to grow, business by nature is an offensive game. If you're not playing an offensive game, you're going to lose. Defense is basically know your books and don't be stupid with your money. That's basically defense. I mean, defense is don't go spend on things that have no chance of returning. Defense is don't be so sure that your success is never going to end that you spend as if it's going to continue to come for forever. But most people, they get to a certain number in the bank and they feel like they got really lucky in getting there, and then they just start to get really protective. really gonna just destroy your growth in the long term. You gotta let go of the amount of money you have now. Like literally, if you have $50,000 or $100,000 right now, or $500,000 or $1 million or whatever number it is, I don't care. You gotta get past seeing that money as your safety. It's not. Okay? That money will leave you as soon as you stop creating powerful, forward focused solutions within your business. Okay? It'll take a couple of years and that money's gone. So that money's not the safety. You are. And you gotta detach yourself from that money to be able to build meaningful long-term solutions into your organization, into your business, so you can really begin to grow. Okay? And this is why, for example, by the way, people who pay outright the Kaizen group always end up having the best success. The people who work with me, and this is half a plug and half just the truth, okay? People who pay it outright, they always do well. I don't have a single client who's booked a call with me, come onto that call, said, Trey, I've watched a bunch of your content. I love the way you move. I like it. I can see the proof, the results you've gotten to the clients. I've looked at all the interviews, the testimonials. I see you're the company, the success you're having with that. Let me get your help. And they pay it outright, and they don't go on to, if they're not at $1 million a year, reach it. If they're not at $500,000 a month, reach it. I mean, really, it's very, very rare that occurs, because that person is not seeing themselves through, I am what I have. You got to get beyond that mindset. Okay. The final thing that you have to let go of for a season, just for a season, is peace. And this is just the truth. There's this big trend right now, and I've been on this. Honestly, this year, I've been playing at like 40%. I had a kid. We have a second kid on the way. I've had a lot of new projects, a lot of things I've been working on. And, I've just kind of like just one day at a time, not really forcing anything, not really pushing anything into reality, because frankly, I'm really happy. Like I've had a hard time figuring out what my next why is. Like I've achieved a lot. It's not that hard for me to create successes. I feel like I understand this industry. I know how to throw things together. And so I've had to figure out like what my new why is. And also time feels like it's, now I'm not thinking about next year. I'm thinking about when I'm like 40. I'm 25 and I'm like actively thinking about 40, because now when you have kids, your time horizon just expands so drastically. So I've been really not operating at my peak, frankly. I mean, everything that I've achieved, this new offer, this new business that we're running, I've kind of just been like a little bit 30%, 40%, given it that much of me. And I'm really proud of what's been able to achieve in that. And so I'm not really living this principle out the best in my opinion, and this is me being very candid. But you have to be willing to sacrifice peace for a season. I'm talking 6 to 12 months. You have to be willing to say, I'm really ready to take on a lot of complexity for a minute and give this a lot of my mental load. There's this big trend, and I get it, and I hear it, and I see it, and it's valid and everything, or whatever language you want me to say to not hurt feelings. But it is basically built on people not being able to figure out the next level of their business, and then they just say, oh, I'm just going to do peaceful profits, just me, just one person show and stuff. And it's like, that's just because you couldn't figure out how to grow. So to me, like, there's this big trend of like, oh, I just want to be there's a one person business thing. And the dark side of that you never hear about is you're relying only on you. Imagine every road leads back to you. If you take a step aside, things slow down. If you slow down for a minute, things slow down. If you aren't working, you're not making money. That's not running a business. Like, for some reason, people are glorifying that. I don't know why. It's silly in my opinion. Like with the other company, I work maybe an hour or two a day on it, and it's doing what it's doing. It's growing steadily, and sure, it's like a 45% profit margin at about $100,000 a month, and that margin, all of the costs associated with that business are fixed costs, meaning as the business grows, the profit will actually increase as well. There's certain operational costs that will only grow to the size of our revenue as it grows. So that 45% margin should stick around as it scales into the $500,000 or $250,000, $500,000 a month range, which I'd like to see it at next year, which, who knows? I'm going to do everything in my power to make it happen, and we'll see. But I don't have to do that much because I have a head of delivery over there who handles the day-to-day. I have a head of sales who runs the team. I have a funnel that requires none of my time to run because it's purely paid advertising. It's none of my audience. It's nobody who follows me online. Though we have some buyers of that product who watch my channel. What's up, guys? How's it going? I'm not the guy over there delivering that product. They know my head of delivery, whose name's Amr, who's a good friend of mine, and I put him in that role and give him a profit share of the company. Okay, so I want you to understand, like, Your peace is going to need to be let go for a temporary season as you move into something better. If you can't accept that, like you just don't understand how the world works. Like there's this really childish idea of just sitting back and just kind of like meditating enough that like success just lands in my lap. Look, I can hold two truths to be true at the same time because I'm a smart person. I know you are too. On one hand, I know that if I chase and try and I wrap myself up in something, that I'm really going to push that thing away from me, and my odds of really creating it sustainably are very, very low. I understand that, but that can be held at the same time that I understand that if I make peace and feeling good all the time my number one life mission, then I'm not going to have a lot of success long term. Okay, success is hard. It's going to be hard moments, hard decisions, be pressure points you're going to have to experience. So it's really both for me. I value my peace, but not to the degree that it takes my success from me. I've learned how to have peace in the moments that I'm allowed to have peace within without me taking away my future from myself. I'm not going to work only an hour or 2 hours a day. I'm not going to spend all my time, like, I don't know, at meditation retreats in Bali or something. Like, I'm going to actually do work, show up and build something because that's what I believe my duty is as a man to the people who rely on me, okay? And so if I make my life all about how I feel all the time, there's a lot of people who rely on me who their life is going to get significantly worse. So sorry, but in my opinion, you got to sacrifice just for a season. Now, what's cool about that is you can reorient back into a place of peace once you're on the other side. I have clients who do right now in the Kaizen Mastermind, who I just had a one-on-one call 2 days ago with one who's doing about $500,000 a month in the group, and he literally is like, I don't know what to work on. Like, I'm not doing anything all day. There's nothing to work on. What do I even work on? And we were just talking about what he could maybe be doing next because he's just so happy. Like, he's so contented with that result, and the Mastermind's a lot to credit for it. And he's telling me, he's like, I don't know what to work on. I got all this time in the day, and I'm just chilling. And I'm like, yeah, you get to decide if you want to go through another season of sacrificing some of that peace to get to another level, if you want to kind of let the business ride for a while. I'm talking a temporary sacrifice of that, like, just waking up whenever you want to the sound of the birds and, like going on a long walk if you wanted to. And like that feeling, that's, I value that so deeply in my life, but I do it cyclically. Okay. I don't not have that. I'm a relatively very peaceful guy. Like, this year in particular, most of my time has been spent on my back porch, soaking up the sun, smoking a cigar. Like, honestly, that's been my year this year. And yeah, I've still achieved what I've achieved. But next year, I've told my wife, like, hey, we're going to really buckle down. I'm really going to take this stuff more serious. I'm actually really going to do something here. So, anyway, these are the sacrifices that you have to make to get to that next level. These are just some of them. I mean, there's a list of them. And frankly, if you want somebody to walk you through making those sacrifices so you can scale, that's what the Kaizen Mastermind is. You get my direct one-on-one support. We can schedule a one-on-one call anytime. It is usually only for people who have an established business doing 10, 20, 50, 100 grand a month that want to scale. People who are already at the $500,000 a month level, but they want to reorganize the business, maybe $1 million a month level. You want to reorganize the business to be more profitable, take less of your time. I mean, there's a lot of things that I can help you achieve. This is where booking a call with myself is very necessary to explore if it's something you really want to do. But I would also ask that, hey, don't waste my time, don't waste yours if you don't want to do it, right? Links in the description to learn more about the Kaizen Mastermind group. That is my primary and only offer through this channel. Otherwise, you can enjoy the free content. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.